Now that our dog is animating properly and even calling that animation event, let's hook it up so that he actually does damage to the player. And let's use that laser effect that we have. We'll stop playing first, and I'm going to go find my dog laser. It looks like it's right here. If I take a look at it, it's this big, long laser beam. I think this will work perfect for a weapon that can just hit the player and knock them up, do some damage, and kind of keep them at bay. It'd be really cool for a horizontal or vertical level where we're going up and got to dodge things, I think. So I'm going to go find my dog now and expand them out. If I go through the hierarchy of my character, you should be able to find this blaster sprite. That's the one that's showing up then when it kind of animates and pops out. I don't need to enable it because it's not going to show up. All of the children and everything else are all disabled as well, or I think they might be just off in position in tiny, tiny scale. Let's see. Oh, yes, they're scaled down to 0. So if I scale it up, you can see that they get nice, and it's that laser thing right there. So I'm going to leave that scale at 1 for just a moment, and then we're going to take our laser blast and drop it into there. We actually have to set the scale up to 1 because if we don't, when we drop in our laser blast, it'll get scaled down to a 0. So let's go find that dog laser blast. Where was that? In my prefabs dog laser, here it is, and I'll drag it as a child of the blaster. I'm going to reposition it with W, so just move it over so that it's right on top there. Looks like about a negative 0.465 or maybe a negative 0.4, maybe negative 0.5 or 0.5. That looks right. I said negative. There was no negative there. So about a 0.5. I'll go back to this blaster. We can set that scale back down to a 0 now, and then even disable the object like it had it before. Now if I press play, that laser should appear. When I blast, the laser should just kind of show up. I don't need to spawn anything. It's just going to enable. There we go. It's popping out and it enables pretty much instantly. It looks pretty good. Blasts, and then it blasts, then it blasts, and then it blasts. Now I want this thing to do damage. So if I run over here, right now the laser doesn't do anything to me. So let's make a change to our laser again. We'll go to the laser object, go expand it out, and expand out some more. First, let's turn this thing back on so we can view it. Turn on the blaster, set the scale back to 1, and then let's find the object that's the beam. So it looks like it's this 2, 1 object. We've got the 1, 1 is, or 1, 2 is that circle, 1, 1 is this tighter circle, and 2, 2 is this bigger area outside, or the kind of glow around the beam. I'm going to go select the actual beam object, which is just this sprite renderer, and then we're going to add a component to it. We'll add a box collider 2D. Box Collider 2D should allow us to knock back players and hit players and do damage to them. The next thing we just need to add is a damage player script. So we add the damage player script that we just created or just started kind of generalizing, add it to our Box Collider. We'll save, press play. Let's run over, hit that laser, and see what it does. Ooh, look at that. I'm getting knocked back. I get shot, I get bounced. If I hit the top of the laser, I'll kind of bounce off of it. Let's see. Can I hit the top? I'm not very good at that. There we go. And I can bounce off of it and start taking damage. So now I'm taking damage from my dog without having to really write any custom code for it. And this is generally what I want to do, unless I have some special use for the dog where I want it to do something else. But right now, this collider is automatically growing. It's adjusting. It's not the most optimal thing, but I don't expect to have more than 2, 3, 4 dogs on the screen at most. But it's adjusting. It's going to knock me back and hit me automatically without me having to do raycasts or figure out anything else to get this code working. So I'm going to stop playing. And also, it's worth noting that we added that animation event callback on our dog. We haven't even needed to use it yet. And it's important to note that we didn't just dive right in there and start writing code because we don't always need to do that. That's not always the best thing to do. In fact, we may never even need that animation event. The way that things are hooked up, the way that the animator set it up and created it, might not be ideal for our code. And you're going to find that often is the case, that the animators and designers aren't necessarily setting things up in the simplest way. They're setting things up in the way that they've done it before and know how to do it. So here we go. We've got our dog with a working attack. I'm going to go into plastic. Well, first I'm going to update my prefab. I'll go to the dog overrides and hit apply all so that that one gets applied. And I'll go to the laser. Oh, I don't need to apply the laser. It got applied on my dog prefab. I think we're good. So we'll say that dogs deal damage with lasers and check that in. Oh, got to recheck it in. We got that error that pops up on occasion. I'm going to do a check-in. So I hit check-in again, and there it goes.